evening, everybody. The time is 7:01. We're calling our meeting to order. Today is April 5th, 2022. And could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready, begin. Could we please remain standing for a moment of silence for first responders and military members? Thank you. Monica, could we get a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilmember Soto?
Present.
Councilmember Moran?
Present.
Councilmember King?
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Garcia? Mayor Aguilar?
Present.
For the record, Mayor Pro Tem Garcia is not in attendance, but his absence is excused.
Thank you. Closed session, we did not have a closed session. Council, any changes to the agenda? Okay, I don't see any. We're going to move on to citizen comments. Section of the agenda allows members of the public to address the council on any item not otherwise on the agenda. Members of the public, when recognized by myself, should come forward and identify themselves. Comments are normally limited to 3 minutes in accordance with state open meeting laws. No action will be taken by the council this evening. For items which are on the agenda this evening, members of the public will be provided an opportunity to address the city council as each item is brought forward for discussion. Any citizen comments? Anybody on the phone? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to our award presentation and proclamations. We have one presentation tonight. Presentation by Bao Xiong, Sazi Xiong, and Daniela Ramirez, California Health Collaborative and Cali Youth Coalition, Strategies to Reduce Tobacco Exposure in Livingston. You guys wanna go up?
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's get started. Okay, so this is, okay, got it. All right, so good evening, everyone, community members, mayor, and city council. My name is Bao Zhang, and I am with the California Health Collaborative. And we're here again. It's been a journey. And so we've been here a couple times to present on strategies to reduce tobacco exposure in Livingston. And then I also have my colleague here, Salsi, which she will introduce herself a little later. So let's see here. So before we get started, just quickly here, who we are. We are the California Health Collaborative, also known as CHC. We are a nonprofit organization with a mission to improve the health and wellness of all citizens in the state, especially the underserved and underrepresented. So in 2018, we were awarded a tobacco control grant through the California Department of Public Health under this unit called the California Tobacco Control Programs. And we were to support communities throughout the Central Valley, and this includes Livingston, to reduce tobacco-related health disparities among vulnerable population. With our focus tonight, our presentation is youth.
Hello, everyone. My name is Salsi Zhang, and I am the Community Engagement Coordinator with California Health Collaborative, and I serve the Livingston, California area. Now, I want you all to think about where you live in your own community. What can folks expect to see when they come and visit you? And are there tobacco and retailers nearby in your area? Here we have a map of the city of Livingston. The yellow boxes represent our local schools, and the red dots are tobacco retailers. There are currently 15 stores located near our schools, which may not sound like much, but that means that there's 1.1 stores per 1,000 residents in our community, as compared to Merced or San Francisco, which is 0.8 stores per 1,000 residents. So for a smaller community like Livingston, 15 tobacco retailers is rather high. Over 33% of all retailers in Livingston are within 1,000 feet of schools. Now, why would this be an issue? This is an issue because tobacco companies understand marketing efforts at retail locations are 17 times more effective and 4 times more effective outdoors and on transit locations than that of print, radio, or media efforts seen at home. Low-income communities are already at a disadvantage with lack of access to green spaces and healthy food options. Tobacco retailers in these areas make it difficult for residents to make healthy lifestyle choices, and it's harder for current users to quit. We know that over 80% of adult users, they started using at the age of 14. By making tobacco products easily accessible to our youth, they are ensuring that they have customers for life. Tobacco and vaping amongst our youth is a part of the bigger issue beyond the efforts at home with parents, at schools, and even with our healthcare providers. This is an all-hands-on-deck approach that will also require city leaders and city planners to work towards taking meaningful steps to improve the environment for future generations to come. I'll go ahead and pass it back to Bao, who will share some options we can take to improve our community.
All right. Okay, so we have policy options here, tobacco control policy options that have been around for quite some time now. And they started taking off due to the impact public health we have seen on the tobacco has on people and on the environment, as Celsius shared with the facts, some of the facts earlier here. So we'll go ahead and start off with location and density. So this is placing a cap on the numbers of retailers to its population size and or distance between retailers. So for example, placing a cap where stores cannot locate within 1,000 feet of an existing store or 1,000 feet from youth-sensitive areas. So that's like your schools and parks. So we've seen, and data has shown the increase of use when retailers are concentrated in neighborhoods and near schools. So next here we have sale restrictions. So that's restricting the sale of products like flavored tobacco products, electronic smoking devices, cigarettes, components, accessories, and tobacco product flavor enhancers like your Puff Crush. So we know that menthol and other flavored tobacco products are considered starter products for young people, and it helps establish a long-term tobacco use. So sales restriction policies are becoming more common, as now over 100 cities in the state have banned the sale of flavored tobacco products in an effort to curb the youth vaping epidemic. And so with that being said, we have local tobacco retail license, and they're also known as TRL. So this one has been around for some time now, with over 200 communities throughout the state implementing TRLs. So it took me a while to comprehend what TRL is, but to just put it in the simplest form, it's a local license that require tobacco retailers to pay an annual license fee in order to sell tobacco in the city, which then will provide the resources to the city to enforce tobacco control laws and ensure that retailers comply with reasonable retailing practices. So a TRL also provides meaningful penalties. For example, if the merchant sells tobacco to an underage youth or violates any other current tobacco control law. So additionally, a TRL allows for communities to adopt additional restrictions, just like the options I mentioned earlier in the previous slides on the cell restrictions, on density. There's also other options too that I didn't get the chance to go over due to time, but there are options like limiting advertisement around the retailer area, and then also price promotion, limiting price promotion. So these are resources that we've provided in your educational packets that you have with you. And then not only that, in your educational packets, we have resources on TRL, but we've actually, I mentioned we've been here since 2018, and we've been doing a lot of work in the community. And so in that packet, you'll see letters of support that we've collected from multiple local organizations. We've also been collecting petitions, so you see some in there. We've collected about 156. We have the ones from digital petitions, but we also have physical postcard petitions that we collect that we have with us. But if you want copies, we can share that with you. We also have conducted store observation, public opinion surveys, and interviews where we were able to gain the community's perspective on this topic. And so here on this next slide, you see in your educational packet, we found that all stores near schools sells menthol or flavored tobacco products. We also found, that's really interesting, 90% of the residents here in Livingston supports a policy that restricts the sale of flavored tobacco products within 1,000 feet of schools and youth organizations. So this number is really high compared to a lot of the other communities that we've been in. We know that this Livingston is very acceptable of change and healthier communities. Also, through interviews, we've done some recent interviews, which are in your packets too, when we've asked folks, what do you think about the fact that over 33% of all tobacco retailers in Livingston are within 1,000 feet of schools? Some of the comments we got was, quote, "We need to focus on reducing the sale of these products. By increasing the prices of tobacco products, fewer promotion for these products, and trying to increase promotions of healthier items." Another comment we got was, "I am strongly against any liquor store or tobacco store being closed to junior high schools or high school. These stores located near schools are easy to access for youth." So this concludes our presentation. Just before I go, with all that we covered, we want to ask the council that for us to work together towards a sustainable solution that will protect youth from commercial tobacco products and reduce youth tobacco use in Livingston. And I also want to get a round of applause to Drakkar Movement and their youth for attending tonight's presentation. And yeah, they're really eager about this issue and coming up with a solution to reduce tobacco exposure in the city. So thank you.
Thank you so much for the presentation. A lot of good information. I know you guys been here before, and we worked together on developing something, and we had a good meeting last week. So I appreciate your time. We'll definitely look forward to continue that work. I know we started with the previous attorney's office and coming up with some kind of option for the council to consider. Like I think the TRL was something that we had discussed in the past, so I'll be touching bases with our attorneys and continue where we left off. But once again, I appreciate all the work you do in the community and with the high school kids, and thanks for catching up and reaching out last week. Appreciate it. Council, do you guys have any comments or questions?
Mayor, I have a question.
Yeah.
I wasn't in on that meeting. I'd like to hear what some of those options were that you were considering with.
Well, it wasn't a formal meeting. It was just a reconnect meeting to see that they're still around, they're still working with high school kids. Just in general, same thing as the presentation, that they'll be coming here and presenting.
Were there some solutions that you came up with?
What was that?
Some types of, I know that, maybe this has been the third time that we've come here advocating within our schools and our youth out there. Taking a survey of our liquor stores, the alcohol, the flavored tobacco. I just want to know if that's, I feel that that's in the same realm of all the drug usage that might be prevalent and that children are exposed to. There are other products out there that are just as dangerous, like you said, the liquor stores, and I'm not even sure, and when you show the map, I had seen it a few years ago, the sphere within the 1,000 feet, I mean, that's bothersome, and I don't know that the stores put in after the schools, how that was approved by our city, that's bothersome. So, again, we're looking at changing some other types of ordinances, but when we look at it as a whole, when we're looking at drug usage, you're looking at flavored tobacco. I'm looking at bubblegum flavored Tylenol that our children are, that's a drug. So again, the type of education that we have on drug usage as a whole, across the board, that we should be focusing on. So again, I just wanted to know, I didn't know that this was, I thought it was some type of other meeting that you had. But thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments?
Yes, thank you again for being here. It's been, I guess you mentioned since 2018. It's almost probably already 4 years since you guys been presenting at this council or in this council chambers. And I think 4 years is too long. 1 year is too long, and I really appreciate the young students being here because they are not only advocating for themselves, but as some of the information from questionnaires and questions and feedback from other students, I think it's very concerning. So for those of you that don't have this information in front of you, here are some questions that were asked to some high school students. The question is, if you could reimagine a healthier Livingston, how do you think tobacco sales here should be changed? One high school student said, make sure that the people who are actually purchasing tobacco products are fully grown adults. There's a big vape or pen problem happening at the high school. When I need to use the restroom at the beginning of fifth period, I see a bunch of kids just fogging up the bathroom because they're vaping. Another student said, put more restrictions on tobacco sales for certain people or make the age group for purchasing tobacco products higher because a lot of teenagers that currently smoke get it from their siblings. Even though there are age restrictions, there's other ways that they can have access to it. And there was another one that kind of that mentioned that was concerning because sometimes, let's see, they mentioned kids when they're traveling to other activities on the bus, sometimes they get to smoke or vape in the bus, and then it causes concern and issues with other students, especially those that have asthma problems. So in general, I think, for one, we shouldn't my belief is that we shouldn't have any type of sales of vape products, flavored tobacco, anywhere in the city. That is just my point of view, and that is something that I've been supporting since probably 2018, 2019. And also because I've seen that being a problem firsthand with a lot of our students, not only in this community, but in a lot of different communities. And once again, thank you for the presentation. Thank you for being here again. And I truly hope that we can bring something forward to this council to where we can either restrict or totally not allow any flavor, tobacco, or vape products anywhere in the city. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yeah, same here, actually. This is like the third time you guys did a presentation. Thank you for coming out here again. Thank you for Yictaro movement. And yeah, we do need to figure out a solution to this. So maybe we could have a workshop and kind of figure out what the next step is. Tom, what do you think is our next step? Would it be a workshop or just have separate meetings?
I think I could meet with the mayor and probably we could have an item for you to present without a workshop, I'm guessing.
Well, I want to get the opinions of the store owners and other residents so, to see, get more input on the residents. Thank you, guys.
Sounds good. I think,
I would also like to add that I'd like to see school administrators there, because it sounds that many of our students are having their concerns brought to them from their school sites in their bathrooms, and that's shameful. Something needs to be done at that level, and it also needs to be brought back to the homes, because we can't control what everybody's children are doing. We can be responsible for the children that we raise in our own homes, and also look out for the well-being of children in our communities. But the fact goes back to parenting and what you allow your children to do and how you educate your own children on the issues of drug usage, smoking. The list goes on about, and again, it's a parenting workshop. It begins in the home, because children, more than likely, these are learned behaviors, modeled behaviors. And when you have that survey out saying students are doing this, they're seeing it on the buses, good Lord, what's happening? And we shouldn't be shocked, because I saw this pamphlet the first time you guys came around. So again, going to your school board meetings, making that an issue, because there's signs all over the place saying tobacco-free. When I was at the high school, we had a smoking section. I'm not saying anything more than that, but we did. It was allowed. But society has changed. Lots of things have changed. And if we're going to be bringing this to council, we got to take it back to our schools. Our schools should be here answering to what's going on in the schools and why it's still happening. And so thank you.
thank you so much for the presentation. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to our news, announcements and reports. Vanessa, do we have any staff?
Yes, we have a report from our recreation department. I'll give it to Monica.
Good evening, everyone. Greetings from the Recreation Department, and all that we have going on is, I'm so glad COVID's behind us. People are coming out. I think I shared with you guys, we have over 400 kids in our baseball program, and I mean, they are just out there practicing. It's, if you haven't been by Max Foster to see all the activity going on, it's very refreshing. So I did want to let you guys know of a couple activities that'll actually be happening this week. And that is Friday night is our opening ceremonies for youth baseball. The kids have been working on a dance. The police department has been so gracious to allow their drone to come out so that we can film all that the kids are doing and then put it, Mayor, in our time capsule when we bury it in September. So they can tell their great, great, great grandchildren, or, you know, that was me, or they'll be dead by then. But, you know, in 100 years, sorry. It'll be something really fun for them to dig up. So right immediately after our opening ceremonies, we have the rival game of the century, and that is between police and fire. We've got a lot of fun activities that'll be going on, and our very own police chief will be emceeing the game. And so it's a free event just to come out and celebrate and have a great time in Livingston. And then Friday, we have our annual game for Joe. This game is put on between Livingston High School and Atwater. It's been an age-old rival. And they actually charge $3 for kids, $5 for adults. And the money goes to support summer ball so that the high school students can continue to play without having to pay fees. So it's a great investment. If you have younger children that will be moving up to the high school level, come on out and support, because what goes around comes around. Also, right prior to the 5 o'clock game start time, we will be honoring one of our hometown heroes, Joe Alvarez. For those of you that don't know his name, he truly was a hero to Livingston. He began our baseball program, and really he developed Alvarez Field, Little Guys Field, lights on Alvarez Field, and he just volunteered. And he actually is the one that got the name of Memorial Park established for our veterans. So, you know, he really has been a big contributor. He passed away in 2013, but I don't know that there's a day that goes by that I don't hear that name, Alvarez. So please come out at 4:30. I've given all of you folks invitations to see the unveiling of our larger-than-life statue that will be planted right behind the first base outfield fence, as if he were watching the game that he loves so much. So that's it. If you guys have any questions, I would be happy to address them. Other than that, for this council meeting, that's all I have.
Thank you, Jackie. Council, any questions for Jackie? No? Thank you, Jackie, so much. Appreciate it.
And
Vanessa?
we have a report from our police department.
Thank you.
Before I get started, I'd just like to point out the fire department's not here. They're practicing right now. I have a guest with me. Come on up here, Alex. I have the distinct honor and privilege of introducing to you the newest police officer who is a member of the Livingston Police Department. She was sworn in last Thursday at the police department. And I didn't plan this. She, for the last year and a half, has been managing the tobacco control grant for the city of Livingston, or excuse me, the city of Gustine, as a police officer there, and we were able to lure her away and have her come join us here in Livingston to be a police officer, so that's a bonus. She comes to us with three plus years of experience. I'm super proud to have been the guy that chose her. Vanessa and I, it was a mutual decision. She was a great fit for the city. She was actually raised here in town until she was 6 years old. So it's a sort of a homecoming for her. Just help me in welcoming her to the city and the family. It's an honor and privilege for the city and the department. Go say hi.
just real quick. Alex, just on behalf of the City Council and the City of Livingston, welcome to our town. Look forward to all the good work you're going to be doing in our town. I was lucky to be there during the swearing. Got to meet your parents, so you have close ties to the community. So we know you're going to be doing good, and your heart's here. So looking forward to seeing you out on the streets. Be safe. Thank you.
Just a couple other things on the personnel front. We were here several weeks ago talking about dispatch. We had interviews. Sorry, I'll get to that in a minute. It's a distraction. We had interviews this last week, very successful interviews. We have 3 dispatchers that are in background with us right now. And if everything works out on that front, we will be fully staffed. So thank you guys for supporting that decision and helping us getting that up and running. We currently have 2 vacant reserve police officer positions. We've got 3 total that are in the process for that. One is in the very ending stages of that, and we look to have another ceremonial swearing in within the next couple of weeks. Go ahead, Monica. I'll talk about the prized possession there. I've mentioned this before at council meetings. This is something that just happened to stumble across us as a PR piece for a joint thing between the police department and the fire department. I am super proud to say that in a little over 3 weeks, we were able to gain $7,500 in donations from people in the community, businesses and everything that helped make this possible. There's $0 coming out of the general fund or the police department's budget to make this happen. And the photo here doesn't really do it justice. This is just an educational piece and a PR piece that we can blow up and kids can walk through, and it has different educational messages and stuff for children, and I think it's gonna be great at different events that we have moving forward. Code enforcement, I'll touch on that for just a minute. In the last several weeks, to a month and a half, I've been engaging with the officers in our department to endeavor into the code enforcement realm, because we do have a certain amount of responsibility in an enforcement arm in that, and it's been fruitful. There's been 2 different properties that we focused on primarily at the beginning, and I'm happy to report that both of those properties have been corrected and changed because of the efforts of members of the police department. We're going to be working on a proactive illegal fireworks operation this year. I'll be reporting to you guys later on with the processes and steps that we're going to do and what that actually entails. And animal services, last but not least, in the last month, we've had 10 vouchers that have been handed out for spay and neutering, so that's starting to pick up now. We see people coming to the police department a lot more, and if you haven't, go to the police department's Facebook page. There's a very heartwarming story from our own animal control officer, Kristen Hill, on a dog that she's been fostering that was found here in town with broken back legs. It was actually adopted by a family in Montana, and through different rescue groups and everything else, surgeries were donated, and forgive me, I don't know what to call it. I call it the back wheels, the wheelchair for the dog. It's just a heartwarming story and a success for our agency and our city. And that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Chief. I just want to say thank you. You know, I know it was, you know, when we first talked about having something like this in our city, it was nice having the community come together, our businesses, and pitching in to get it, you know, everything donated to get it purchased. So I appreciate the work you did on that. Also, thank your officers and everybody that participated on this past Saturday on the public service, public safety meet and greet. Appreciate all the work. Council, any other comments, questions?
I just, well, just comments. I really appreciate your report, and I know firsthand that you have personally been in touch with different people, different residents that have reached out to me, and I direct them your way. And in some instances, you have gone to their homes and met with them at their homes. So, and that is very meaningful to not only to the residents, but to ourselves. That shows the type of work that you're doing, and you're being very proactive instead of being reactive. And I know that, at least that from a couple of different residents that have had concerns, and they were just not sure how to deal with them, and I direct them to you, and you were able to take care of them pretty much like next day. So thank you for that. Also very excited to see what you have coming up in regards to the fireworks program. And I do appreciate you taking into consideration some of the information that I share with you to be able to support any program that you might have in mind and coming forward. And once again, I mean, with the animal services, I know that the animal control officer has been very receptive and very informative, and I know that sometimes I have a lot of questions, and sometimes I get a lot of support with resources for some residents with a lot of their concerns. So I appreciate the effort that you put into the animal control department as well, and very happy to hear that more people are being responsive to the vouchers, and that is being put to good use. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Thank you, Chief.
If I might add,
Yeah.
just because of the comments that came, you guys are elected by the people. I am an open door policy for direction and ideas, and it's my job as your police chief for the time being to make sure that those messages and those visions and stuff become reality, as long as it's within the confines of the law and everything else. So bring them on. Let's just make Livingston better, and I'll leave it with that.
Thank you, appreciate it. Vanessa?
No other staff reports, Mayor.
Thank you. City Manager announcements and reports.
Yes, Mayor, council members, members of the public, city staff, good evening. Vanessa Portillo, City Manager. I only have 2 items here to share. One of them is back in September, the council approved a pilot program for landscaping services through a contract. And that pilot program, that contract is coming to an expiration as of June 30th. The city is getting ready to issue a full RFP for landscaping services, and this is for the maintenance districts primarily. And this will be for the new fiscal to start for the new fiscal year. So at the end of this week, we are having a target date to start posting this RFP in our website. So it will come to council once we have the bids from the landscaping services providers. And the last item here, we have a lot of activity on street projects, and my Public Works Department is preparing a presentation for our council to outline what those projects are and the status for the next meeting in April. And then that's all.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions for Vanessa, Council? I'm gonna go ahead and move on to City Council members' announcements and reports. Councilmember King?
Yeah, on March 29th, I attended a workshop with our engineers about our water and about what's going on with TCP, that we have 3 wells treated, and we're working on the rest of them. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Jose Moran?
Yes, thank you. I also was part of that same workshop with in regards to what we have going on in regards to water concerns. And a few days later, well, actually this last Saturday, I had the opportunity to attend a water educational for Latino leaders in California. And this took place in Selma this last Saturday. And surprisingly, it was very, very informational. Not only is it relevant to some of our concerns that we have here in the city of Livingston, but also some ideas from other cities who are currently having the same issues, and what are some of the programs that they have implemented and what kind of results they've been having. So I was able to gather a lot of information, a lot of resources, not only with programs that are working in other cities, but also funding with different programs from the state and federal, which I will be sharing later with Vanessa once I finish putting it all together. So I'm glad that I was able to attend, and I'm just looking for additional ways to bring more resources and funding to assist with the needs that the city of Livingston currently has with the water problems, with the water concerns. Also, within the same conference, there was a lot of information about conservation and how to take care of our current green spaces and how to expand them and improve them, because all of that is connected. Green spaces with water and the environment and family-friendly areas and stuff like that. And I also participated. I'm the liaison to the Recreation Commission, and I'm very excited for some of the programs some of the projects that are coming up, and also in preparation and along with the celebration of the 100 years for the city of Livingston. And I had an opportunity to also participate and attend, which I've been attending for years since. But this time it was different because in previous years I had attended the Sikh parade, and I would just record it. But this time I took the initiative to participate and actually walk in the parade all throughout the route, and actually walking it gives you a different perspective than just standing on the side of the street and watching the parade go by and actually just recording it. So it was a good experience. And just a reminder, May 7th, Livingston High School has the first band review in town. And I'm also part of the committee, and the committee has been working very hard, even though they really only have, really 2 months before the event, which means normally events like this take a whole year to plan and organize. And so save the date, May 7th, 8 o'clock. There's going to be the parade out on the street. And inside the school, in 2 different locations, there's going to be a concert event and a jazz event. So from 8 o'clock until about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there's going to be things going on, and there's going to be food and drinks and a lot of different school clubs that are going to be participating in fundraising. And if we have any volunteers out in the community, get in contact with myself or anybody else from that committee, or donations. Right now, we still need close to $5,000 to collect in donations. This being the first time, I mean, it does take a lot, and everything is fundraised. So not only volunteers, but if you have some extra few cents here and there, anything will help. So thank you.
Councilmember Maria Soto.
I don't really have anything to report, but I did have a concern from citizens. They wanted to know more in regards to the movement for the ATV park.
Thank you.
And also, I wanted to ask about the positions for the rec commission. I know I attended the rec commission meeting the last Thursday, and they're still wanting to go through with the process of putting something together on how they are selected, but we do still have 12 applicants that have had their applications out, and they are wanting actual movement. And I know that that was a push for the commission, was wanting to be able to fill those vacancies as soon as we could. Is there anything that can be done? Can we bring that forward already and select commissioners?
Well, I'm sure Vanessa and Jackie probably get together and are, I guess, working on developing some kind of process.
Mayor,
I think that was the last direction we gave.
Yes, the direction for staff, it was to develop a process in which commissioners will be selected. We have surveyed cities around the state and asked for templates, so we are in that review process to bring a process recommendation to the council.
Thank you. Anything else?
Recommendations of the process or recommendations for applicants?
Recommendations on a process to adopt on how to select commissioners in the future.
Anything else?
Would that be on the next council meeting?
We're working on this policy for council, so we're trying to bring it to council as soon as possible.
Okay, and Mayor Pro Tem Garcia, are you on the phone? Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to mayor's announcements and reports. I know the chief mentioned, the open door policy and given ideas and work together, and he'll run with it. And I appreciate all the work that was done for the public safety meet and greet. I know it took a lot of work and coordination, and so thank you to the police department, thank you to the fire department and everybody, sheriff's department, Riggs, ambulance, everybody that showed up. It's something to build on, definitely, and I would like to see that on an annual basis. Like Jackie mentioned, the Guns and Hoses game this Friday and opening ceremonies. Saturday, the game for Joe. We've been participating in MCAG, not only the general board meetings, but also the One Voice advocacy group meetings for the trip that's coming up. Attended the Junior Olympic boxing tournament this weekend as well. That was presented by Haro Boxing and 5150, a great community event. We'd love to see more events like that in our community and encourage everybody to support such events. Got to spend some time with the Public Works Department, advocating and seeing all the work they're doing. So I appreciate everything, all the work they do. They keep the city clean and streets cleaned. And, we had a major project with resurfacing our streets, a big section of town. So they look great. I know the next step for that would be the signage and labeling of stop signs and all that, crosswalks and all that should be coming up shortly. I was able to get an update regarding our playground for Lucero Park. I know people have been asking about that. Should be coming in or being installed in the first week of May or so. Also participated in the Sikh annual parade on the 27th. Great community event. Glad to see everybody come out and participate. Got to participate in the swear-in for Alex. And once again, welcome to our city of Livingston. I know as a city as a whole and as a council, myself, we're pushing for more development, more retail, bring more jobs into town, and better retail out there. Participated in the water workshop as well. I know that's been a priority for councils, not only currently, but in past councils, to address our water quality, but also our capacity, considering future development. So I know that's a focus and that's a priority, and it was nice to, sit down and really learn what the city is doing and how we are better planning for future expansion or development, make sure we have capacity and quality. And then finally, a couple things. I am working on a time council project with Mayor Pro Tem Garcia, working with the local schools and our recreation department for a time council later this year. Also, save the date for May 14th, pancake breakfast at the fire station, something I organize every year. It'll be from 7:30 to noon. We'll be selling tickets starting tonight. Tickets are $8. You could eat in or take out. I'll be at the fire station. It's actually 7 to 11 a.m., Saturday, May 14th. And the all proceeds go to buying, purchasing equipment needed for the volunteer fire company. And that is it for me. We're going to go ahead and move on to our consent agenda. Items on the consent calendar are considered routine and non-controversial and will be enacted by one vote unless separate action is required by the city manager or city council member. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless members of the city council or city manager request that specific items be removed. We have 8 items under our consent calendar. Council?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion to approve by Councilmember King. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by Councilmember Maria Soto. Monica?
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
We're going to go ahead and move on to our public hearing. Item number 10, public hearing, the first reading and introduction of ordinance amending Title 8, Chapter 2, Waste and Recyclable Materials of the Livingston Municipal Code, adding legislation related to State of California methane emission reduction targets, which is SB 1383, Chapter 395, Statutes of 2016, a statewide effort to reduce organic waste and emissions of short-lived climate pollutants. Who do we have tonight, Vanessa?
Yes, good evening, Mayor. We have Jennifer Haplin here introducing this ordinance.
Thank you. Tell me if you can hear me okay. It's pronounced helpin', like you're helping someone. Just say.
Sorry, Jennifer, thank you.
Okay. So this long piece of legislation that's going to be adopted into the ordinance, if council approves, it is to address some new legislation passed by California. It's also in accordance with the Air Board regulations to help reduce methane emissions in the state of California. And so the state of California noticed that a large amount of methane gas production is from organics in landfills. And organics is anything that is biodegradable. So basically, your landscaping materials, such as your grass clippings, your leaves, your prunings, and then also your paper fiber items, such as paper, cardboard, and then food waste as well. The state of California would like those diverted from landfill. So in the ordinance, it is going to redefine certain solid waste definitions there in the ordinance. It's also going to specify collection services for the single-family homes within Livingston as well as businesses. It's going to designate which containers or for which materials. For example, your black container is going to be for your solid waste still, which would be like diapers, things like that. And then your green can will continue to be for organics. So City of Livingston is actually a little bit ahead of the rest of the jurisdictions within California, because through your franchise hauler, which is Jolton Solid Waste, you're already able to put food waste into your green carts. So a lot of other cities do not have that available yet to them. And so again, Livingston, you are ahead of the curve on that part of it, because you can put the food waste into the green cart, which is a major item of this state legislation from California. And so in the ordinance, again, it's just going to designate that the green cart is for those kind of materials. And so also in this legislation, they would like each jurisdiction to have an edible food recovery program. That means that for certain large food generators, such as Rancho San Miguel, food caterers, and then later on for schools with cafeterias, they're going to want to see edible food items being recovered and then given over to a facility to then be distributed out to the public. So it's also another piece of the legislation. So that can be with an existing program that's already happening within the city or within the outskirts of the city. So like, for example, Rancho, they already partner with a food bank for a lot of uneaten, kind of like produce that's still edible. So they already have an existing program. And so for legislation, it's just up to the city to basically go and monitor them, making sure that they're still doing that kind of program, that they're keeping records of the weights of the food that they're donating, things like that. So each category of that ordinance, there's specific details on each one. That's why it's so lengthy. I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's a pretty long municipal code. So it's going to include that. And then the last subject on that ordinance, it is enforcement. So with previous state mandates regarding recycling, it was not really enforceable unless a local jurisdiction adopted enforcement policies. This one, they're not giving you a choice. They would like you to adopt enforcement mechanisms, meaning if a household is not putting the green waste or their organics into the right cart, or if they're using that green cart as a second trash container for like surplus of, again, like diapers, that's just the easiest thing. So if they're using it for diapers, they do want people to start getting fined. The good thing is that they do give a grace period to the public. So from now until December 31st, 2023, can be mainly educational. So if someone is doing something repeatedly, you can give them education pieces to tell them, hey, that's not supposed to go in there. Be nice about it, but by January 1st, 2024, they're going to want to see the hammer coming down and see enforcement and fines like that. So that's why it does include the enforcement within that ordinance. Are there any questions so far?
Any questions, Council? Vanessa?
Just a quick question. You mentioned something about, is that a fine so if it is a fine, would that be enforced or given by the city or by the agency?
Yes, Councilmember Moran, thank you. The jurisdictions will be the ones that have to give that penalty. So the state requires the local jurisdictions, which would be the city of Livingston, to adopt this enforcement, and then it would be up to the city to then be the one to pass that fine on to its residents or to the businesses that are in violation. So it can be also in partnership with your hauler. So let's say the hauler is the one that has the photo documentation, because on each truck they're going to have camera. So on top of the truck where your containers get dumped, it's called a hopper. So when it gets into there, you actually have a camera that can see what the contents are of your container. And so it can provide photo documentation. So they can provide that documentation to the city, but again, it will be up to the city to pass down the fine to that address.
Okay, so now I understand. So the agency or the hauler will have that information, they will refer that information over to the city, then the city can proceed with the
Yes.
with the rest of the process?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you also providing options of educating people on doing their own compost?
Yes, so part of that ordinance too, they are able to do backyard composting of things like the food waste with their greens. They are allowed to do that. They will still need, unfortunately, the legislation does say that service still needs to be automatic. So if a household has water service and they automatically have trash service, they also have to automatically have another cart for organics, but they do have the option to do the backyard composting. I don't think anyone's going to be doing large-scale composting because then you get into permitting and all that, but for households, yeah, they're able to do that. Oh, another thing on the legislation too, so a lot of this organic, since it's going to be going to facilities to be processed and composted, the state then wants the city to what they call procure back. So basically you're having to buy back the compost material to place it wherever, either on public areas, so like if you're going to be hiring like the landscaper service, so like on your public streets or parks, they would like compost to either be put on to the parks or given away to the public, but that is a requirement as well to have to buy back or take back certain compost or an allotted amount of compost material and then distribute it out. So that's also another responsibility of the city. Anything else?
Any other questions, Council? Comments?
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
And if, so if the council does adopt this ordinance, another thing is, not only is it required that you need to adopt it, but then it also qualifies the city to be eligible for a grant from the state. So if this is adopted, you are going to be basically receiving, it starts at 20,000 for each city, and then if some cities didn't apply for it, you could also potentially get more, but right now the base level is 20,000.
Thank you.
Mayor, council members, the first piece of the SB 1383 legislation is that all the cities and jurisdictions, all the jurisdictions adopt an ordinance framework in which it lays out what the policy is, what the objectives are, and then also the fine and the framework that it will allow for the city to go out and cite those people or residents that are out of compliance. So that is the public hearing for tonight for the council to adopt the ordinance for SB 1383 that will be incorporated in our municipal code.
Thank you, Vanessa. So, council, no more comments. I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. Any citizen comments? Anybody on the phone? Okay, I'll bring it back to council, closing the public hearing. Council, what are your wishes?
If there's no more comments, I move to adopt the resolution,
Introduce
ordinance.
the ordinance.
Ordinance. Thank you.
Introduce the ordinance. Yeah.
To introduce the ordinance for adoption, is that what it is? Okay, thank you.
So we have a motion on the table by Councilmember Jose Moran. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Councilwoman Maria Soto. Monica? Thank you.
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you, Monica. I'm going to go ahead and move on to discussion and thank you so much for your presentation. Appreciate it. Going to go ahead and move on to your discussion and potential action items. Item 11, approval of multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan. A resolution to adopt a multi-jurisdictional local hazard mitigation plan. Vanessa.
Yes, Mayor, this is the Merced County Multi-Jurisdictional Local Hazard Mitigation Plan. This is a joint effort between Merced County and all of the jurisdictions of the county in order to develop a federal disaster mitigation plan. Adopting this has been in the works since 2020, and part of this local hazard mitigation plan is that once it's approved by the federal department, it will have to come back to the jurisdictions for approval, and that's when the plan will become effective. One of the items that the plan will do, besides having something in place in order to having a plan in place or something outlined in case of a disaster and how to respond from our public safety standpoint, it will also qualify the city for federal funding if there is an emergency.
Thank you, Vanessa. Is anybody on the phone for this item, or were they going to call in?
Yes, our presenter was not able to make it to our meeting, but I believe Adam Amaral, he is on the line if there is any questions from our public or the council.
Adam, are you on the line?
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me? Sorry. This is
Yes,
Adam Amaral.
we can hear you.
Okay, good evening, everybody. I'm the OES manager for Merced County, and I'm here if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Council, any questions, comments? It is a routine item, and like Vanessa said, it'll allow us to apply for grants, and it's a plan for disaster response. Any comments, questions? No? I'll take it out for public comment. Any comments or questions from the public? Anybody on the phone have any questions? Okay, we'll bring it back to council. Council? Any motions?
I motion to approve.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jose Moran. Do we have a second?
Yes, I'll second it.
Second by Councilmember Gangadip King. Monica?
Motion approved by a vote of 4-0.
Thank you, Monica. Item number 12, discussion and direction on water shutoffs. Vanessa?
Yes, Mayor, council members, we're bringing this item to you tonight. For this discussion. It is in regards to the utility relief program, and to ask for direction from you in regards to the delinquency process that the city conducts on a monthly basis for their serious residents that have outstanding invoices. So the executive order that the state had issued to restrict jurisdictions for water shutoffs has ended as of December 31st, 2021. And even though the executive order was only specific to water services, the city back in March of 2020, when we implemented the emergency disaster resolution, we halted all disconnection services for water, sewer, and garbage. So we have been working with our residents that have past due balances. So far, over the past 2 years, we have seen an increase in utility delinquencies. We are accounting for about 150 accounts, more or less, that have outstanding balances, and those outstanding balances right now, they total about $150,000. Out of those, we can account for about 100 accounts that they're what we call serious delinquent, which means anything over 120 days or more, and anything in between the range of $300 to $3,000 of having an open balance with the city. Through this pandemic, we have provided different efforts and relief for our utility customers that have faced some sort of hardship. We have had rental assistance from the CDBG program that we have made available. We had the utility assistance program, and also the business assistance program. And then you can see in the staff report that those programs, the city was given about $400,000 in grant money for help for our community members. We also have, we've offered payment plans for those serious delinquent accounts. We are looking at about doing this payment plans for up to 12 months for those residents that would come to the city and request a payment arrangement. We are also in the works. We are looking for utility assistance through the California Department of Community Service and Development. This is a program that has just launched in March, I believe. It's a new program with a not-for-profit that the CSD department has put out there for low-income households to provide relief for water assistance. The city has submitted an application and it's in progress. We're also seeking for wastewater assistance program to provide relief to some of the outstanding sewer balances, and the city is in the application process with this program too. So with that background, we are coming to the council. We're recommending now that the executive order has come to sunset, that we reinstate the process of our delinquency for utility accounts, which would mean that we will be assessing penalties on a monthly basis to those accounts that are not paid within their time frame of, and we have a table here too, within the time frame of their payment. And we also are looking for direction for implementing or resuming with utility shutoffs. Our recommendation is that we reinstate the penalties in our May 2022. So this would be for the bills that would be issued on May 2nd, and anything that it's not paid after the 25th of May, and to resume the utility shutoffs for starting in July 2022 for any unpaid balances and any customers that have not come to the city and request a payment arrangement. So we have included a table, and really our fiscal impact, we have seen, as we shared, an increase in the utility outstanding balances. We are looking at about an average of over 67%. We have here, we ran a report, and back in 2020, our outstanding balances were 67% less than what we're seeing right now.
Thank you, Vanessa.
We're open for any questions.
Thank you. So obviously, we know that the executive order was expired. I know a lot of people were affected by, obviously, the COVID-19 pandemic, and people lost their jobs, and considering our community, you know, it's a lot of people struggle and have a difficult, you know, we're going through a difficult time. So I appreciate the recommendation of, you know, still working with our public, having the opportunity to make payment arrangements or extensions. But it's important that the public that's having a hard time come and communicate with City Hall, you know, come and touch bases and sit down with our staff to come up with a plan that it could be, you know, easier to repay whatever the back pay is or the delinquency rate is. You know, there are a lot of resources. I know that the application's pending for that assistance program. I know there are still resources that could help out, and so I would, you know, communication's important, to touch base with City Hall and see what resources are out there, what kind of help do we have out there for you, and come up with a good plan. Council, any other comments you guys might have or questions?
Yes, so for clarification, so if we have a resident that still has a balance, but has approached City Hall for some kind of arrangement, for those residents, shut off would not be considered, even if they might still have a balance, you know, if they are in a payment plan, correct?
And the key is for the customer to come to City Hall and make some type of work towards reducing that balance. So what we're saying here is that we will continue to provide payment plans for customers requesting extensions, and for those customers, shut-offs will not take place as long as they are observant or they are in good terms with their payment plan. And does that answer the question?
So if they're making like reasonable efforts towards.
Yes.
And so if we have a renter, so just to clarify also, so if we have a renter, whenever they come to city to open service or to start service, that service is on the rent, under the renter's name and not under the landlord, right?
We have some customers that they will open their utility account under their with their rental agreement, and it's not under the owner's name.
Okay. Because I'm just thinking of the landlords that might not be aware that the renter might not be, if they're in that situation, that the renter might not be up to date, then eventually, well, I mean, there's only so much we can do.
Right, and part of our utility delinquency process in notifying the residents about their past due balances, it is also part of the mandate from the California Public Utilities Commission that we notify the landlord, the person that owns the building.
Okay, so if that was the case, then let's say that the current resident that has that outstanding balance moves, and then a new resident or new renter comes in, the owner will still end up being responsible.
We would normally follow up with a collections process for that outstanding balance with the person that didn't pay their bill.
And then start fresh with,
We would start first
Okay.
with the new person,
all right, thank you.
with the new renter.
Any other questions, council? Comments? We're going to go ahead and take it out for public comment. Do we have any public comment?
Yes.
You want to go up there? The speaker, up to the front?
If I understood you correctly, you said that you received a $400,000 government money to assist in this. Has that been all depleted?
The city has about, well, we receive about $400,000. It was tiered between different kinds of help. One tier, it was to provide rental assistance. Another, and that was about $91,000. We had utility assistance for about $130,000, and assistance for businesses going through hardship with the pandemic, and that was about $200,000. It hasn't all been depleted, but this grant, it's administered by a not-for-profit. It's self-help, and there's certain requirements in an application that goes through, and they have been successful in some areas, but not as successful as we wish.
Yeah. I heard that, so I was just wondering if it was depleted and possibly maybe a credit, like PG&E did.
Yeah, no, well, we have grant language that there has to be an application, so a person has to come and say we're
They're
interested.
just not reaching out.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we would like more people
Yeah,
to apply.
reaching out. Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other comments?
Good evening, Council, Mayor. So you had mentioned, Ms. Portillo, that there were penalties that would be added sometime in May of this year for delinquent accounts. So I'm curious, is that like a percentage base or is it a flat fee?
It is percentage base.
Okay.
Or give me 1 second, I will confirm with my finance team right now. It's a 5% on the outstanding balance.
Okay, so would this continue to apply for accounts that are seriously delinquent and that there is a payment plan in place for? It seems a little bit as a detriment if we're working with residents towards paying off their balance to continue to add a 5%, especially for accounts that may be delinquent $3,000. So I'm just curious if that would be a component that the council would push maybe a little further, if that is the case, or if that's already been figured out on your guys' end.
Thank you, Hilda. Council, our recommendation is to start fresh, assessing fees for anything that it's outstanding from the May bill going forward. So any of the customers that are serious delinquent, they will not be assessed any penalties as long as they have a payment plan in place or we have some sort of working arrangement with them. So we won't go back to apply any delinquencies to those amounts. We will go forward.
Any other comments? Anybody on the phone?
Yes, Mayor.
Oh,
I want to recuse myself on this item because I do have rental properties in town, so I don't want that to be a conflict.
okay. Go ahead. Go ahead on the phone.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello? Are we commenting about the cannabis issue?
What was that again? Hello?
Yeah. Hello?
Yes.
Yes. Are we commenting on the cannabis issue?
We're commenting on item number 12, the water shutoffs.
Okay.
Do you have
Oh,
any,
wait.
any comments? Okay, any other comments here? No? Okay, we'll bring it back to council for motions or directions or additional questions, comments. Council?
I'll go with the recommendation to resume.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve by Councilwoman, oh?
There's no resolution. It's a
Direction,
resolution,
sorry.
direction.
So you agree with the recommendation from staff? Okay. Jose?
Yes, I agree.
And myself, I agree. I think we are continuing to work with our community and trying to connect them to resources. And like you mentioned, you know, we start from fresh and, you know, like I said earlier, need to reach out to City Hall and just touch bases with our staff and come up with a payment plan or, you know, get connected to those services. So Vanessa, is that good direction?
Mayor and Council, we just go ahead and make a minute motion on that. Just have somebody make a motion second.
Okay. Maria, you want to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Maria Soto, Councilwoman Maria Soto. Do we have a second?
Yes, I'll second. And I think this is very important, and just to be clear, this is not trying to add more additional, I guess, concerns to what certain residents are already going through, but rather it's kind of like a fresh start, trying to find additional ways. And then plus, the state has asked to make recommendations to kind of start all over again. So I think we're heading in the right direction, so I second that.
So we have a second by Council Member Jose Moran. Monica?
Motion approved by a vote of 3-0.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to our final item, 13, discussion and possible direction regarding revising cannabis regulations.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. You currently have a cannabis ordinance which allows commercial cultivation, medical delivery, manufacturing, and testing. You don't have a retail, and in fact, our ordinance specifically bans retail commercial cannabis activity. There's been some interest in retail businesses coming to town, so just wanted to get your direction on whether you'd like to entertain adding retail cannabis to your ordinance in the future.
Thank you, Tom. Council, questions, comments?
We did meet a couple weeks back with the city manager, and we had a couple people of interest that would like to see this come back to the table. It's been since 2017, 2016, since Livingston has wanted to bring cannabis into Livingston, and we have not had any movement forward. And I know that the interest now is in dispensaries, in the retail sales of cannabis within Livingston. So I would like to see that we move in that direction. I'd like to see that we form some type of a steering committee that would involve staff, well, not necessarily staff, but at least 2 council members, planning, and the rec department, because all of Livingston would benefit from seeing some of the revenues that would come from the sales of cannabis on the commercial end.
Any other comments?
Yes, I have to agree with Maria on this one. I do want to see what our neighboring towns, what they're doing, what kind of taxes they're getting. So yeah, I want to look into this more and see if we could have a workshop like to see what our options are out there. Where can we do it? Where can we do it? Yes, I want to see what we could do.
You said a workshop? Yes. Any other comments by council? Jose?
With this, well, I guess, so the question would be like, because in the past we had different interests have come before this council or in the and also previous councils, and primarily has been about retail, but also along with retail, also requests to change the ordinances for downtown. And I think those are two separate, two different things. One, retail, and the other one would be the consideration to, like has been in the past, to amend or change or add and change the zoning for cannabis, whether it's production, cultivation. So it just depends what the specific request might be. Is it to just discuss retail or retail and zoning changes?
I think it'll be up to the council, right?
Yeah, that's up to you all. If you're going to do a workshop, we could easily include both subjects.
Okay.
And for me, so obviously it's already allowed in industrial areas. I hear, like when I talk to people, I hear both sides. Some people are for it, some people are against it. I think the location is, I know previous people that approached the location's an issue with some people. I mean, there could be some benefits. I know I've done the research and there's some jurisdictions that have done really well. But I think it'll be good. I agree, instead of the steering, I would agree like a workshop, educational workshop to invite the public and kind of hear from what people are thinking out there. What are they okay with? Ultimately I represent the community. So I would like to get a feel of what people are saying or what they want or how they feel about the whole subject, Like I said, I've done some research. I mean, there could be great benefits financially for the city. They could be pushed towards recreation, but at the same time, I have a child myself, and I know, once you expose them or they see it on a regular basis, that could also be, a gateway, I guess, to other issues. But I see it both ways. I don't think it'll be any harm to have a workshop, educational workshop on see where the community, what the community's thinking, kind of what. I know we've been approached by several people wanting to move forward on retail. So I think it's only fair that we would, at least give them the opportunity to kind of express what they're thinking or what their plans would be and how that would look like. I know, like Maria, Councilmember Soto stated, there's been, I think it was visited sometime in 2017. It's been a while. So I'm okay with having some conversation and having a workshop invite the community and those interested in opening business in Livingston. Not only planning and rec, but also like our law enforcement. It's going to definitely affect law enforcement and how we do things here in town, and do we have the capacity to patrol and fire too. I know last time we thought about that, we had discussion with fire, and that could also affect, the whole situation. Like I said, I see pros and cons, but I want to hear from my people, from my community, see what are you thinking. So I think a workshop would be beneficial for everybody, just to sit down and see where we're at. So I'll open it up for any public comment. Anybody want to comment? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, Monica, yeah. Yeah, Monica did tell me about the email. Monica, you want to read it?
Yeah. Okay. So the email states, evening council and members of the audience, unsure of what will be discussed at today's meetings regarding the revision on the ordinances on cannabis, I can only guess. Please protect the ordinance. They were put into place for a reason. Some of this current council did assign Zone M as the proper location for this type of business. I feel you will not get the pushback you have gotten at previous meetings regarding this issue. I am sure you have read on multi-platforms that majority of residents do not want this type of business downtown. It is a closed-door facility. The traffic that some assume will occur is non-existent. If the Main Street location is the reason for the revision, then people need to speculate of why the push for just this one location. I do have a couple hundred signatures from residents to protect the ordinances. If I need to, I will start to gather more. Please consider Zone M and protect the ordinances. Merla.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else want to comment on this issue? Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. My name is Elisa Stewart, and I am an owner and a chief compliance officer with a vertically integrated cannabis company located in Lemoore, California. And what vertically integrated means is we do everything from seed to sale. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why our company was started, because I think it is helpful for communities to understand where our roots are. One of the managers of our LLC, and in an LLC it's directed by managers, one of our managers is a combat veteran, and his name is Judas Resendez. And he couldn't be here tonight, but he drafted a statement that, if I can, I'd like to read to you all. So his statement is, my name is Judas Resendez, and I'm one of the managers of Base Camp Cannabis Company, a vertically integrated cannabis company in Lemoore, California. I am an OEF and OIF combat veteran. Many of you may already know that OIF refers to deployments that occurred in late 2002 to Iraq for what was called Operation Iraqi Freedom. OEF refers to deployments that occurred after 9/11 to Afghanistan. Due to a bilateral below-knee amputation of a roadside IED, I was honorably medically retired. During my rehabilitation, I had to relearn how to walk and function in prosthetics and the wheelchair. I wanted to remain active, which meant I needed to relearn how to do everything using prosthetics and a wheelchair. Engaging in demanding activities meant putting a tremendous strain on my residual limbs. I did not want to take narcotics to alleviate the pain I was experiencing at the time. Products containing CBD were simply unavailable to me. Because I did not have access to non-narcotic pain relief, I was required to spend more time in the wheelchair because of the pain experienced from prosthetic use. I kept moving forward. I completed my education in Washington, D.C., and earned a bachelor's degree and then a master's of fine art. I moved back to California, where I discovered California cannabis. I learned that cannabis was very effective for pain management. It also helped with anxiety from PTSD. It provided these benefits without the mind and body numbing experience from narcotics. It doesn't have the same addictive qualities as narcotics, and it allowed me to be present with the people in my life. I was able to be more active and spend less time in the wheelchair. I continue to use CBD and topicals for my strenuous activities, including downhill mountain biking to golfing. My brother-in-law started Base Camp Cannabis Company, and I worked there as a delivery driver, providing cannabis products to many customers, including veterans like myself. For me, cannabis is not just another consumer product. It was transformative, providing increased opportunity for me to be active, mobile, and meet the demands of my lifestyle. I am now one of 3 managers at Base Camp Cannabis Company, directing the leadership and direction of the company. I am an example of what cannabis can do for veterans suffering from injuries endured in combat in service to our country. I learned that art could help me express my hopes and dreams, and I learned cannabis could help me realize my hopes and dreams. Today, I teach art to share with my students its tremendous power to transcend. And I am with Base Camp Cannabis Company to share the power of cannabis and how it helps someone like me recover and realize my goals. And I'm sorry that Jude couldn't be here tonight, but I do hope to have him participate in whatever process that you guys engage in, because I think his experience is not so unique, sadly. And it is relevant for a lot of people who are dealing with the issues that he was dealing with in his life. So many people think of cannabis as sort of a mind-altering, let's all get high, get baked kind of thing, but for a lot of people, it is far more than that. It has allowed him to be more active and out of a wheelchair than without it. And that's important for a community like this one, where there may be many veterans. So I welcome your discussion of this, and I hope to be able to participate and answer questions. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else? Any other comments?
Hello, Mayor. Hello, Council. My name is Adam Connor. I'm a local veteran advocate. I work heavily here with the Livingston VFW, and I'm the post commander of the Winton VFW. I support veterans throughout Merced County and Stanislaus County on a heavily regular basis. My goal for being here and my goal for discussing cannabis is I would like to have something like this that comes before the community be something that we can use to not only individually support specific veterans that need cannabis and can use cannabis to avoid, heavier addictive substances, but also specifically build in veteran advocacy. Right? I don't know how much everyone here knows about the Department of Veterans Affairs and what support systems are available for veterans, but unfortunately in our county, there's very little. Most of the support is in Fresno. Most of the emergency housing is in Fresno. Most of the emergency counseling and suicide prevention is in Fresno. For example, the suicide prevention team that works with veterans in Merced County is based in Fresno. We have no emergency veteran housing in Livingston. We have none in Winton, and I believe almost none in Merced. So for example, when a veteran is in a bad place and needs somewhere to go, we have to literally remove them from their community, their social structure, their support network to provide them housing. Well, that's not very helpful. So I think if the community and the council can come together and come at this correctly, we can build in specific covenants to provide for veteran housing. Diego's working on a veteran project next to the VFW here in Livingston. We can build in specific amounts of funding to support that, right? To really help some of the men and women that need that direct help, right? I think there's an important component in this, in that the residents of the city of Livingston are already purchasing cannabis. Right? They're calling a delivery service, they're driving to Atwater, they're driving to Merced. We want to discuss this right on law enforcement, right? And that's important. These people are overworked already, and we don't want to exacerbate that. Frankly, 90%, I'm making that number up, right? A large proportion of residents here that would purchase retail cannabis are already purchasing retail cannabis. There's no additional strain on the community. They're just purchasing it from the community, and those tax revenues are going back to the community instead of going out of this community. Obviously, I want to support veterans. I want to do everything I can, and I would like to see some progressive, discussion on this matter.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for your service. Any other comments? Go ahead.
Good evening. Barbara Ratzlaff, 1458 Main Street. And I'm sorry, my hearing isn't that well, but I know you're talking about cannabis. Is that correct? Well, my feeling, and I don't know how many other people do, but Livingston does not need that in the city of Livingston. My opinion, and I'm sure there's others. So I hope you think really well about anything coming like that. We need business, but not that kind.
Any other public comment?
Hello. I think we do need something like this in this town. For the sick and the elderly, it's hard to make it to Turlock and to Atwater to get it. Livingston is right in the middle. You can't even get to Delhi to get it. You'd have to go to Turlock or Atwater. A lot of people are in pain and can't make it that far. I've been in pain for over 10 years. I've been going in and out of the doctor, and they can't figure out what was wrong. It's like all the symptoms of Crohn's disease, if you're familiar with the Crohn's. Anyway, cannabis was the only way that I was able to cope with it without feeling sedated from the prescription pills. The prescription pills were way stronger and way harder than the cannabis. The cannabis was more light and gave me the appetite. Appetite was a hard thing. I think it'd be a good thing. And with the children and everything in the town, we got the security guards too. There's security guards out front making sure that the kids ain't going in. They have to get ID'd before they even go through the door. So it's not kids' choice to walk through the doors and get it. So I agree with it being in town. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment?
Good evening, Councilman and Mayor. My name is Travis Miller. Partners in a retail cannabis delivery service and dispensary in Stanislaus County, as well as an affiliate with Basecamp Cannabis. I just want to, recommend that you guys actually check out some cannabis dispensaries in the surrounding municipalities, right? Merced's got them in, basically all zonings, and generally you'll see most cannabis dispensaries in general commercial, right? It's kind of important that these locations are strategic, especially in a smaller city like Livingston, right? Got a population of 15,000 here. Even for a commercial cannabis retail business to survive, it is really important for it to be, close to the freeway. And also, I encourage all the residents, right? You guys are more than welcome to come and check out our location, right? And kind of see how we operate. This isn't some drug den, and right, there's not criminal mischief happening, right? We're really secure, and I think that you'd kind of be blown away about how a legalized, licensed commercial cannabis business operates. So again, my name's Travis. If you guys want to talk to me at the end, come check out, get a tour of our locations. You're more than welcome to. Anybody here. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Anybody on the phone?
Yes, I'm on the phone.
Yeah, go ahead. On the phone.
Yeah, I just wanted to,
Go ahead.
I wanted to say something about the cannabis.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm a resident and an aging carpenter. And first of all, this is legal, and it's going to bring tax revenue. It's normal products that are safe. Anybody can grow it now these days. It's the safest painkiller, and it works immediately. And we need the stores where we can have them accessible. We don't want them. We can watch it, man. This is ridiculous trying to put them out by the warehouse. And this is good for our veterans and everybody too. So that's all I had to say about cannabis. Need this.
Thank you. Any other comment on the phone? Yes, go ahead.
Happy Baines speaking from the Planning Commission. So is this item still going to go to the Planning Commission, or is this, I guess, item going to bypass this and come straight to you guys?
No, I think this is just to see where we go in general. It's not like specific to ordinance or policy. I think it's more, we want to have a workshop and get more information about it and invite the public. I think we're way before Planning Commission or council at this time.
Thank you.
No, I encourage the planning commission to be at the public, at the workshop, so that way we could get you guys' input.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea.
It's been a 5-year, 6-year process. If we could all work together, instead of having separate meetings, going through different departments, all get together at once and figure it out.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. So I think that Councilmember King was kind of on the right track as far as getting a workshop going. I think that it's really important to get the community's input, but I also think that it's very important to stop conflating the issue of retail cannabis and veterans' advocacy and rights. I know that cannabis has been a wonderful thing for veterans that suffer from PTSD and other issues, but by continuing to pose it as a veterans' advocacy or rights issue, we're pitting two different groups of people against each other. People who support veterans and people who don't support cannabis are being painted as individuals who don't support veterans. So in the sake of moving forward with strictly retail cannabis, I would hope that the workshop council members, members of the community would hopefully try to separate the two issues. You can be opposed to cannabis and the retail sale of it and still support veterans. Those two aren't one and the same. And I think that it's a real disservice to the possibility of retail cannabis in this town when you are pitting these groups of people against each other. So I feel that a workshop would probably answer a lot of questions, especially if there is research done into, or the work done to get people, the public informed about the possibilities and positive benefits to bringing retail cannabis to Livingston. But I feel that it's really important, especially for our city leaders, to really stop pitting groups of people against each other around the cannabis topic. Thank you.
Any other comment by the public? Anybody on the phone?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my name's Ruben Pruso. I'm a combat veteran. I served from 02 to 06. I am currently disabled, and I do rely heavily on this cannabis project. You know, every time I require any of it, I do have to drive either to Merced or all the way to Bethesda, which is, you know, it doesn't really benefit me too much. You know, I have been prescribed all kinds of medication. The only thing that ever really did help was this. I have a lot of veteran friends as well that agree with me, and that they also rely on this. I would love for the city to look into it, or at least help us with something to look into this and move forward. That is all.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me?
Go ahead. Go ahead on the phone.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
So yes, my name is Ray Lopez. I'm calling in regards to the cannabis issue, and I just want to make a comment saying that I think we should have the availability to have it downtown anywhere, so people can easily walk to the place that they need their medicine, be available readily for people not have to travel to other areas of town. And if you look at Atwater, look at what they did. They restricted their cannabis zoning to the far out warehouse district area, and their cannabis, their policy has been failing because of that. So let's not be Atwater. Let's make it available anywhere we need it possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I don't want to take too much of your time. I, too, am a combat veteran. I wear my combat boots today. I understand there's an idea of contention between people who want to advocate for marijuana use, and there's connecting parts on why people want to have legal marijuana distribution, and it goes beyond military veterans. It goes to anyone suffering mental issues, physical issues, just relieving their personal stress. I believe in advocating for each and every one of those people as I am going through nursing school myself. I'm a proponent for holistic care. If anyone does not know what holistic care is, that is caring for the mind, body, and soul in ways that we are not harming it, which we have seen through studies that opioids have significantly harmed people. We are now finding that there are instances with marijuana that have been negative. However, there's an abundance of research that shows different avenues of ingesting or topical applications of marijuana that have shown positive effects. And I greatly would advocate for the council and for you, Mayor, to please put this workshop together. I think your town will see a significant decrease, possibly, in issues that the police have to deal with. I believe you are going to be advocating for more jobs in your community, which people would be more than happy to fill, I'm sure. And I believe that we need to address the fact that our state sees it as a good thing. And if we hold back on our own beliefs, on what we believe is right or wrong, we are then discouraging other people from being able to relieve themselves of their pain, of their mental suffering, of whatever it may be. We are inhibiting them, and I don't believe we should do that. I believe it may not be something that you personally agree with, but this is one of a safer method of relieving stress, relieving these pains that people have, and I would just appreciate it if the council and the mayor would consider this when deciding your ruling. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Thank you for your service.
When you guys get this workshop put together, one of the most important things is location, location, location for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, then I'll bring it back to council. Any other comments at this time?
I can appreciate all the people that have come forward addressing the issue of cannabis, its location, its uses, who it'll benefit, keeping an open mind as to what this natural plant can do for those that need it. It's not just about veterans. However, we do have some speakers in the audience that are advocating on behalf of veterans and wanting to contribute back to our community if we move forward with cannabis activity here in retail sales, giving a portion to veterans, which is a very honorable thing to do, and having it veteran-owned. Again, I'm an advocate for veterans, but that does not mean that I'm pitting our community against each other for them to have this business and this business or that business. Cannabis is available to those that need it. Over the age of 21, it's legal. As for the location part, again, this has come before council before, and we've heard different people speak on it. Having it near the freeway, it's easy accessible to our freeway traffic. And then when we talk about wanting to bring more foot traffic to the downtown, we want economic development, we want this, we want that, we need money, we need funds, we need portions of it so that we can support our services, our fire departments, our police departments.
cannabis, commercial cannabis, they have regulations. Not anybody is going to be going into these stores that is not allowed. So when we look at it, keep an open mind that it is going to be safe, whether it is on the outskirts of our town in the industrial, because I heard a gentleman on the phone speak on that, how it happens in Atwater. If you don't know, that it is out there in the industrial zone. Industrial zone, it looks pretty scary, and it's out there off the beaten path of everything. And when we think retail sales, we're thinking retail sales. You can go into that store, and right next to it could be a coffee shop. Who knows? Yeah, flower shop, retail, where people are going in to buy. So when we think about the future of Livingston and how it might grow, we have big things coming here. We're gonna have an ACE train coming, and it's gonna land right over, I'm pointing in this direction. And that is right before you come into our downtown district. And we want people to stop and stay in Livingston just for a bit. And if that allows them, we want them to shop our downtown. We want retail in our downtown. We want them to be able to walk to it, spend some time there, and capture all of these people that are going to be coming into Livingston when the ACE train comes. So I'm looking at that, and I'm also thinking that we also have the quick access out on our industrial. But again, industrial sounds industrial, you know, warehouse. So we are, and it was already said that people in Livingston are already getting their cannabis. They're having to go out of town for it. Their deliveries are wherever they're coming from, Modesto, they're keeping our money. We're going to Merced, to the dispensaries in Merced, they're keeping our money. Livingston needs to have a plan in place, and I said it before that I would like to get some type of a steering committee put together so that we can come together and move forward with some types of the policy that needs to be in place in order to have dispensaries available to Livingston residents and those that are coming to visit Livingston either through the highway or within our downtown district where the ACE train is going to land. So workshops, again, I'm for that. We've heard what the public wants and does not want. We hear what our developers want. There's a need, and we need to address that need. And it's been a long time coming where we have let that go. I don't know, since 2016, 2017, I watched the video that was posted. And again, thank you, Mayor, for putting personal biases aside and wanting to consider and being a part of the discussion and open mind to our public, because, yeah, I'm an educator. I'm in youth programs, but I'm also advocating for the health benefits that cannabis does bring to all walks of life. So thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Any other comments?
No, like I said earlier, let's get together and sit down and figure this out. Let's have a workshop. Invite the whole town. Everybody that wants to come. We'll talk about location, talk about the process. To me personally, the location don't matter. I walk through 15 liquor stores. I don't run in there buy cigarettes. If somebody's gonna do it, they're gonna do it. So I don't think so. But again, once the time comes, we could sit down and talk about it.
Thank you. In regards to myself, I appreciate everybody's comments and their point of view. Absolutely, I do try to keep an open mind, and I would like to see a workshop and have a discussion, and absolutely invite the whole town. I would like to see the planning commission there and the council, even the rec commission if possible. But I think it should be a all-inclusive discussion, and then go from there. Go ahead.
Yes, so, and then talking about being all-inclusive, I think that instead of having or going under a workshop, we could have a special meeting. That way the entire council, that way anybody else could be here instead of restricting it to only the participation of 2 council members or the participation of 2 planning commissioners or the participation of only 2 rec commissioners. Making it a special meeting, then it would be open to, with special considerations to more than 2 planning commissioners, to more than 2 recreation, and more than 2 council members. And I think it would be a much better discussion, having the opportunity for everyone to be able to share and listen and hear to everyone that will be attending. So I request a special meeting to be able to expand that opportunity.
Well, workshop falls under a special meeting, correct, Tom? So it's actually a special meeting workshop. So
I believe we can have both. So when we have a steering committee, cannabis is ever-changing. Legislation is changing as we speak. So if there were people that had the knowledge that can bring that to the table to speak specifically and meet on different time, other than having to call a special meeting every single time, having that group of people come together, put the ideas together, bring it to the workshop. Again, having those smaller discussions so that they can disseminate that type of information to the workshop. Again, there would be guidance from council, planning, rec, and citizens. So a smaller steering committee to put all the ideas together, bounce it off each other, then do a formalized workshop where it could be open and all, so we're not there all night going head to head on different issues where not everyone is seeing the same thing or hearing the same thing or not up to speed on cannabis issues.
okay, I think 3 of us are in agreement with a workshop, which falls under a special meeting. And then maybe that could be something that comes out of the workshop, a recommendation for a steering committee. So I think 3 of us are okay with the workshop.
I'm fine with the workshop as well, Mayor.
Okay, so 4 of us we're all in agreement then? Yeah, okay, all 4 of us are okay with the workshop? Okay, I thought you meant that you wanted a steering committee.
I'm suggesting that so that if, it could work either way. During the workshop, come up with that, maybe we can have a steering committee that comes out of that. It's just a suggestion.
Okay.
But again, being up to speed and current so that we're not spinning our wheels and racking our brains on, can we do that? Can we do this? Can
Well,
we do that?
that's why we're all gonna be there. I think Tom will be the one possibly preparing that workshop, correct?
Might be another partner in the office who specializes in that, but for workshop purposes, we'll
Yeah.
see. But
Okay.
we'll work with Vanessa for the format and the timing and
Perfect.
take from there, if that's your direction.
So we're all in agreement then, workshop? Yes, Vanessa, is that good direction? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to council direction on future agenda items. Council, any other future agenda items? No? I know, just in
I got one
general.
real quick.
Go ahead.
Can we get an update on the ATV park next council meeting? See where we're at?
Perfect, I had that too as well. I know our budget workshop's probably coming here pretty shortly. The ATV, I know that there'll be some stuff coming regarding the recreation grant, right? The near future. And also like the fire commission, I know we brought it up before. And then, so we're gonna go ahead and adjourn our meeting at 9. Oh, Maria, you had something else? Maria? No? Okay, we're going to go ahead and adjourn our meeting at 9:06 p.m. Not too bad, Vanessa. Not too bad.